less than men, okay, as a group. So about 79 cents to every dollar. That may not sound like a lot, okay? 79 cents a dollar. Okay, that's just a little bit. But if you take that amount of money every hour that somebody works, times every week, times every year, okay, what happens is over a lifespan, women aren't able to accrue as much, as much money, savings. And many women are the breadwinners, sometimes the only breadwinners in their families. They might be single moms, right, with kids, or, excuse me, or divorced women who maybe don't have kids, but again, they have the same kinds of expenses other people do, but they're making less money. So this is a big issue. Okay, so gender pay gap is a real thing. It's not made up. It doesn't mean that every single woman in the United States makes less than every single man. But as a group and overall, it is very true. It's accurate, and it doesn't make any sense. Okay, if you're doing the same job as a man, you should be paid the same. And what is evidenced by things like the nursing profession, okay, where male nurses, okay, make more money than female nurses. Now, when you say nurse, what comes into your brain is probably a woman, which is why people have to say male nurse when they're talking about a guy, right? But even in this traditionally female job, okay, if you're a male, you get paid more. Makes no sense at all. Obviously, as people pointed out too, some of the reproductive rights, okay? Women fought very, very hard, and men helped to get the laws changed. Roe versus Wade in the Supreme Court, with women having a right, to get a legal abortion, okay? It's not supposed to be anybody else's business, okay, what a woman does, right, with her own body. But it has become increasingly, okay, as you're aware of, difficult. And in many states in the United States, they've been, of course, bombing abortion clinics, killing doctors that perform abortions. They're going after Planned Parenthood, which is, for many women, the only place where they can afford to get, birth control pills or other, gynecological things, checkups and stuff like that. So very little of what Planned Parenthood does is actually abortions, and yet they're fighting to defund Planned Parenthood, right? Based on what? Is it based on facts and figures, or is it based on more of the ideology, religious beliefs? And no matter what your religious beliefs are, and I'm not saying that some are right and some are wrong, but the fact is, when you start making laws, okay, which are supposed to be, in our society, legal, rational society, okay, that's how we operate, there's supposed to be a separation between church and state for good reason, okay? The founding fathers came from a country, right, and countries, I should say, where, it was a theocracy, okay, where the religion dictated what people are allowed to do. And this is why we see in Afghanistan, as an example, why little girls are forced to dress up as boys, because of the religious and cultural attitude toward women, okay? Women don't have the rights. They're not as valued. They can't get a good, as good of education. They're not allowed outside the house without a male family member with them. This is largely based on a very conservative religious ideology, okay? And yes, it's a corrupted ideology, okay? Because not everybody who, is Islamic, is Muslim, not everybody believes that to be true. But if you look across the world, okay, in places where women have the least amount of rights, they use religion, right, as a reason to justify that, or as we saw with the Pokot people in Kenya, and that happens many places, They use this tradition or myths, okay, superstitions about if a woman doesn't get, her genitals literally cut off and sewn up shut, that somehow she's not worthy of being married, she's not clean, she's looked at as a prostitute. The other thing was, what, if you have that done, you're more likely to have a son, I think, and then if you didn't have it done, your clitoris is going to grow down to the ground. Okay, I mean, obviously, it's based on things that are more uneducated. Okay, because if if you're aware and you know the facts, and you saw and you can realize how damaging FGM is to women, girls and women. Remember, a lot of girls, young girls, sometimes as young as 5, are having this procedure done to them that literally cuts away their genitals, and the difficulties, the health problems, infections. Some of them bleed to death just from the procedure, and they never obviously get to grow up at all. But if they do grow up and that area heals and they don't die from an infection, then they get married off to somebody who's obviously going to have to break that open somehow in order to have intercourse when they get married on the night of their marriage. And then, normally speaking, once they get pregnant, that area is sewn up again, will heal over in the 9 months that you're carrying the baby. And then when you have the baby, it has to be, of course, ripped open again. Okay? So this is not a one-time thing in a woman's life. It is a continual thing in these cultures. So whether you're using religion, okay, as a reason to do it, or these cultural myths, okay, which are obviously myths, okay, they're inaccurate. This is a very, negative thing. And like I said, we have gender inequality here as well. And anytime you're trying to take away the rights of a certain group of people, okay, it's not good. It's not healthy for anybody in the society, meaning the whole society suffers from that. And the attitudes towards women, of course, are negative then. And another, in your discussion forums this week, the attitudes where they talk about how Hillary Clinton is viewed. Whether you like Hillary Clinton or not, okay, is not the point. The fact of the matter is the woman has been in political life, her whole life, and has, knows all the players and has been there and seen and been in the action. Secretary of State. I mean, Secretary of State is not an easy job, and it's very demanding, and it's oftentimes, you're making, what do you call it, like a decisions where there's really a no-win situation. You have to just kind of make the least terrible decision. Okay, I would not want that job. This woman has done that, okay? And yet, when they're talking and doing ads or, smear ads or even doing interviews with her, they're not a lot of times asking about her policies or what she would do differently. It's more about what kind of clothes she's wearing, right? What designer is she wearing? Or look at her hair, or she should do something with her hair. Or she's too emotional, or she's not emotional enough. Or she's a grandma and she should be home with her grandchild. Okay? Yeah, she is a grandma, okay? But most, probably if not all, of the male politicians that are out there running are fathers and grandfathers, right? So they also have other obligations, family obligations, and yet you never hear that discussed or them asked about that because, they're men, okay? So for some, the attitude about that women are different, maybe they're too emotional, maybe they're this, maybe they're that. It's insulting. It's insulting to Hillary Clinton, personally, but it's also insulting to all women, okay, who have career, who want to do something and be viewed as something other than just a woman, okay? So I really liked your discussion forum posts this week, and I'm encouraging all of you. I'm going to be facilitating a talk this coming up Tuesday Center Campus, the C building, which is the library building, Library and Learning Center, in C101, which is the auditorium, which you enter from the outside of the building, like it's around the side. It's from noon till 2, and it's about gender inequality. So we're going to be talking specifically about the lack of education, okay, for girls around the world, how child marriages, marrying off girls, again, sometimes as young as 5 and 8 years old, marry them off, right, and hook them up with some guy, how that keeps these women illiterate, okay, and in poverty for the rest of their lives. And their lives literally are taken away from them, okay? They have no other future options. So it's going to be a very interesting talk. We're going to have a guest speaker, and she's actually Turkish, and she'll be speaking about some of her personal connections, okay, to this issue. And we'll be talking about some things, some organizations and other things, people that are doing things to kind of help this. So even though it seems, and some people mentioned it in their discussion forum posts, that sometimes it feels like it's a helpless or hopeless thing. It's not, because even with FGM, we're seeing they've had some success, actually quite a bit of success, even in Kenya, with educating the village elders, okay, talking to the people that are the decision makers, the policy makers, the lawmakers, educating them about the negatives, okay, of, in this case, FGM, or in the case that we're going to be talking about on Tuesday, in regards to child marriage and education and so on, that they're learning that women are much more valuable to the entire community, okay, if they're allowed to be who they are, if they want to be educated and go further. That if you educate a woman, it doesn't only help her, okay, and we're not talking about just economically. It doesn't only help her, it helps her family, it helps her community, okay, it makes, and therefore, her society, and then the world, if you keep going like that, a better place to live. So, there's a lot of hope out there. So I don't want people to feel, like, wow, there's nothing we can do about that. There are things, and there are some campaigns and stuff that we will talk about also on Tuesday. If you come, okay, to this event, you will earn enough extra credit, okay? Because all you have to do after that is just write me a small one-page, you can send it to me by course mail, a one-page, I'll call it a reaction paper for lack of a better word, just about what you got out of it. And, if you thought it was, valuable or not, you will earn enough credit that will take care of if you missed an assignment, or you didn't do well on an assignment, or you didn't do as good on your midterm as you'd like to, or you're worried about the final. You will make enough extra credit from attending, okay, that it'll make up for one whole assignment, okay? So that's a lot of extra credit, all right? So consider coming. If you bring a friend along, you will actually even get more extra credit, okay? I will give you extra. And I will be there, and we will be there with little sign-in sheets so that you get your credit not only for this class, your extra credit, but you will be also earning credits towards your MMII, which is the Macomb Multicultural International Initiative, toward that certificate, which then becomes part of your permanent permanent academic record, okay, and looks really good on resumes and if you're applying to other schools and stuff, okay? So please consider coming and bringing someone along. Again, that's Tuesday from noon till 2, Center Campus, Macomb, C Building, room 101. Okay, hope to see you there.